So we are live on YouTube and we are live on Facebook. Welcome to this week's Flippinar. And we're live on Instagram also. Welcome to this week's Flippinar. Just getting a couple of the house cleaning things out of the way before we get started. For those of you that are already here, you know what to do. Tell us where you're from and go ahead and get your questions going. We're also live on Instagram. So as long as that's going to last, welcome again. I have my producer with me tonight. Adria. Say hello, Adria.
Hi, everyone.
One of the smartest people I know, so I'm not sure why it took me this long to get her to help me. I'm glad her schedule permits to do this. And so again, she's going to help me to make this a little smoother as far as getting questions answered. So I'm trying to look here at my Instagram. Anyway, so we have people already in the chat room. Let me update that. Hold on, Adrian, I'm sorry. I forgot to do that. So if you go to Flippinars.com and just tap the button that says YouTube now live, boom, you're in. You should be in. And that's anyone. So including Adria. You should be in. So boom, so there we go. All right, so let's rock and roll, guys. Let's get your questions going. Again, if this is your first time seeing me, my name is Ty, aka the Flip Man. I have 200 plus videos on YouTube on how to wholesale houses. We have a weekly Flippinar where individuals that want to know about the business, that want to get into it, they can ask questions about wholesaling houses and real estate in general. So here's your opportunity. I will analyze your deals for you and obviously answer any questions that you have. So let's get to it. As soon as you want to start, Adrian, you want to say more than hey. I know this is your first time live. So but you're probably a little.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah.
No problem. You can hear me though, right?
I can.
Okay, now I'm looking at us on the screen, Adrian, where it's caught up. So you're probably looking at the YouTube side or whatever, but we're good.
Okay. I have yet to see any questions, guys. I think maybe it's because I'm lagging.
No, I think we're on the same page. It takes a second. Most people get in here and they say hello or whatever. So we'll give it a second. But someone says they're having technical issues. So I would have, Carl, I would encourage you to refresh your screen and you should be good, or just go back to Flippinars.com and just start from scratch. So we're still waiting on questions. So people again, while we're waiting, I took the suggestion of a YouTube subscriber. Someone made a comment on one of the videos. They suggested that I go want I do a video on seminars and what people should expect. And so I actually went to a seminar. Ironically, they were having one in my town this week. One of the better known ones, I guess, that all over the country. And I hadn't been to a seminar in probably 10, 12 years at least. So I knew what to expect, but I just wanted to see, was there anything different going on or whatever. So anyway, we're ready for questions, guys. So my girl Adrian is, hey, we're ready. Let's rock and roll. We're going to try to make this a little smoother. So I think we see a question there, Adrian, from Gustavo. Go ahead, if you will.
Well, one moment. Let's see here. Let me go back there. Okay, Gustavo Razzo. Hey, you asked, does your city ever just clean out all the signs for businesses? And I think you're referring to the bandit signs that you put up for advertising. What about that, Ty?
Yeah, they'll make a sweep sometimes. And depending on the city that you're in, a lot of times you can get away with bandit signs just because you're in the inner city part of it, or quote unquote the hood is normally where you can get away with them. But each city is different. Some cities don't permit it at all. So sometimes that happens. They'll just do a sweep. But if you're going to use bandit signs, you're going to always be putting them out. You know, obviously you don't want to keep putting them out one day and they're down the next. Then you're bumping your head against the wall at that point. So yes, that does happen. So just be aware of, as I always say, where other signs seem to exist for long periods of time. That's probably where you're going to need to place your signs also. So what else we got, A?
All right. So A Green asks, can wholesaling be done in New York City? He or she keeps hearing people say that it can't be done.
Oh, it can be done. It just, New York City is a different animal for a number of reasons. But at the end of the day, it's all about finding a great deal, positioning yourself with a contract, and finding a buyer for it. It's that simple. New York is different. For number one, the price of real estate was no big deal, because the only reason properties can sell for what they sell for in New York City or anywhere like that, Southern California may be another good example, parts of California, is because people can afford it. So the amount of the deal is irrelevant. It's where it all starts and what you have to figure out as a wholesaler in New York. And I've talked to I talked to an investor. I've never talked to an actual wholesaler, but he said 50% of his deals come from wholesalers in New York. And he said he normally pays, he rarely pays anything less than 20 grand per deal. Normally it's a lot more. So it works there, man. All the problems that exist in New York City, and we'll just use a city of Memphis, Tennessee, exists in New York. People get divorced, people die, people lose their jobs, people relocate, people are out of town owners, you have tired landlords, you have inherited properties, people have medical situations, the kids are going off to college. All of those create motivated sellers. Just ask yourself, if any of that stuff exists in New York? I already know the answer, you know the answer. Next question.
All right. So we have SIG Investors, BGL. Their question is, do you have any help from anyone, me, with your business, or is it a one-man show?
Pretty much it's just a one-man show. I get help as needed, but just as someone just working or partnering with me on every deal, But it's just really a one-man game. That's me though. Some people have a bigger operation, but that's me. So to answer your question.
Okay, this is a really good question from Solomon Green. He wants to know that if someone passes away in the house that you're trying to put on a contract, are they supposed to let you know? Do they have to let you know? I guess if the house is haunted, are they supposed to let you know? Something like that. I'm sure that's what he means. Like, is that something that
someone actually dies in the house?
Yeah, if someone actually dies in the house, are they obligated to let you know that information?
That's a good question. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. But good question. I couldn't see why that's relevant. I just couldn't see why that's relevant unless it caused some type of contamination or something, but I couldn't see why that would be relevant. Pull us one from Facebook, Adrian.
On Facebook, Renee Herder asks, in your opinion, what is the best source for finding motivated sellers?
Well, this will vary depending on who you're talking to. In my opinion, bandit signs is the best method to find motivated sellers, for the simple reason, in most markets, not all markets, because sometimes you can't use those, but if they can be used, bandit signs would be the best method of finding deals. And just for the amount of money that you will spend and what it can produce, because you're able to take advantage of large number of eyeballs in traffic, attention. You're where the attention is, which is where people, whether they want to see your message or not, a lot of people see your message, and you just let the true numbers take over. Now, direct mail works really well if done correctly. No different than bandit signs; they have to be done correctly. Direct mail, but it's more expensive. You have to have a little bit more patience, especially starting out. Once you get it going, it can become a snowball effect. But both of those work. Obviously, the internet, which that's a totally different animal. When you start talking about Google AdWords, Facebook ads, which I haven't figured out how to use that to find leads through for sellers. But those are obviously other options that can be used, but those can be quite a bit more expensive, especially starting out. Now, the business will take care of itself with deals because of the amount of money you make per deal, but starting out, those could be some large, well, you need a nice amount of resources starting out if you're going to do stuff online. Unless some people have that figured out, but most don't. So we're just going to assume you got to spend money. So next question.
Okay. P.L. Paul, and he's on the YouTube channel. He asks, so all we have to do is find a buyer. And he asked this as a new guy just starting out. He wants to know, is it a way to find buyers fast? Like, is there a quick way to do this?
You mean, I'm assuming he means after you have a deal in place, or he's talking about finding buyers before you have a deal?
Well, I guess in actuality, you would indeed have to have something under contract, a deal in place. So assuming that he had a deal in place, how would he go about finding a buyer quickly?
Well, it all starts with just simply advertising your property. If you advertise your property, hey, and don't wait a minute before I say anything else. People on Facebook, they don't see you. We're gonna probably have that worked out next week. I hope they can hear you, but the questions are being asked on. I guess I'm gonna have to repeat the questions because they don't see you on Facebook. I forgot about that. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna have to, so I'm gonna have to probably repeat the question, but that's cool because I don't have to look and say try to read it out or whatever. So we'll do that. All right, but the question was, how do you find a buyer fast? And so that came from a YouTube channel. So how you find a buyer fast is you just simply advertise it. Obviously, Craigslist is going to be a place you advertise it. Depending on what type of property it is, it really doesn't matter. Bandit signs, just doing handwritten bandit signs can be a very effective way of marketing a deal. Now, whenever you use bandit signs as an option, now you're going to get all types of calls. Do you all rent properties? Do you need someone to clean your house? Do you need someone to renovate your house? You're going to get all types of calls, but the main thing is you're going to get actual buyers that can pay cash because they frequent those areas. Those are the areas that they do business in. So the people that you're targeting, you're putting that price, that opportunity in front of them. If it's a $150,000 neighborhood and they see a sign that says house for sale, $75,000 cash, they know that's a potential deal, so they're going to call you. So marketing your property, just letting people know you exist. Again, it's not hard to give away money. So
Philip Harris on Facebook wanted to know what was the best way to find comps without utilizing or having access to MLS.
All right, question from Facebook wants to know the best way to find comps without MLS. All right, that came from Facebook. So I have a video on YouTube. I have a few that go into determining ARV, which is after repair value, basically using comps to determine that. And that simply means what will the house sell for in excellent condition. So with that being said, what I teach my students and what you can see in that video, just a simple, I guess, poor man way of doing it, because there's no exact number. You just need a ballpark number. Sometimes you can get accurate. Well, most of the time you can get enough data to come up with a pretty accurate number. So the first thing you do is just simply Google the address, and most of the time Zillow, HomeSnap, Trulia, ePraisal, Realtor.com, Homes.com, all of those sites are going to pull up and they're going to offer values. Now, some of them are not as user friendly as others as far as offering no values. Sometimes an actual doing it on your smartphone is a lot easier to get those values. I'm not sure why. So what I do is I just look for consistency at the highest number. So I'm looking for a number that's, I'll give you an example. We're just going to use, I'm not going to call out the sites, but I'm just going to give you 5 numbers. All right. So the highest number we'll say is 200,000. The second highest number is 125. The third number is 120, and the fourth number is 118. What is that? That's 3. That's 4. And the fifth number will be, we'll just say 75. So that 118, 120, 125, those are consistent with each other. But that's going to be the range I'm going to deal with to coming up with a value. So you throw out the 200, you throw out the 75, or whatever number, the lower number I gave. So that's basically a way to do it. It doesn't take long to do that at all, and you roll with it. Now you can back it up by seeing what the checking on the value, assessed value from the county, or maybe that should help some also. So next question.
Okay, you've probably been asked this one before, and this might be a good opportunity. And I think Elijah Blue answered it for both Facebook, well, for the YouTube. They wanted to know, do you have access to your contract? I believe there's a text link that they can send to get.
Yeah, someone wants to know how to get my contract free. Well, I made it a little easier now. You can just simply go to flipman.net, submit your name and phone number, and boom, you'll get a text message with access to the contract that I've used for more than 14 years. So that's one way, flipman.net, or you can text the word contract to 313131. Don't text me, text the word contract to 313131. No area code is needed, just those 6 digits.
All right. Again, Manny EA Sports, and this is off of YouTube, asks, what size are the bandit size that you use? They can be tacked to poles, they can be put on wire frames. What size are those?
All right, someone wants to know where that came from, Facebook or YouTube?
That came from YouTube, Manny EA.
Okay, all right, the YouTube question wants to know what size bandit signs do I recommend, I guess, is what they're asking. I use 9x24 sign because they're in a more or less of a billboard format, and I use cable ties. So I wrap my signs around stop signs, no parking, directional signs. It just offers a lot more flexibility than nailing up on poles. And I've never really been a huge guy to put signs on stakes or whatever. So 9x24, obviously 18x24, those are larger, or 12x18. But I like the billboard rectangular look of a 9x24. Next question.
All right, this is a very important question. It's from YouTube. It is from Miss Pamela Dawn, and she says she missed the first part, and she wants to know who the pretty lady is.
All right, Pamela Dawn says she missed the first part, and she wants to know who the pretty lady is. This is a very, very good friend of mine, a very good friend, one of the smartest people I know. And I really mean that. You know, I think that about her. And I've been having trouble putting this stuff together on a weekly basis, and hopefully she can join me every week. She has a family, so I understand that she had more obligation to deal with me. But so I asked her today, I actually text you about something else. I called you about something else. And then I said, hey, why don't I get Adrian to help me? So I started thinking through what I need her to do, because I want to try to get as many questions answered as possible. But whenever I have to sit there and try to read the questions at the same time and, figure out what I should, you're going to always have some people that puts crazy stuff on here. So I try to make sure I read some of the stuff first or whatever. So boom. So here you go. We got Adrian, one of my really, really good friends.
Again, hello, everyone. I hope I'm doing a good job. Just my first go, so just bear with me, please.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Thank you. Albert Stiles from Facebook asks, is there a simple HUD-1 form that can be turned into the title company, or is it even necessary to turn one in?
All right. Someone from some Facebook asked, there's a simple HUD-1 form that can be used or turned into the title company. Well, number one, that's nothing you should worry about because the title company is going to produce their own HUDs. So to answer your question, no, that's nothing you should even worry about because they're going to produce their own HUD. Obviously, you have to approve it, and the buyer has to approve it, the seller someone has to approve it, but they're going to produce their own HUD once.
Okay. And again, from Facebook, Miriam wants to know, what do you say to an investor who wants more information about the property before you sign the seller agreement?
You said what does the investor say that again? Read that one again.
Okay. Listen, what to say? What do you say to an investor who wants more information about the property before you sign the seller agreement? Maybe more than what you've already given them, something possibly that you don't know the answer to.
Oh, okay. I think I know what she's trying to say. Okay. She's basically asking what if your buyer is not they're hesitant to sign the contract because they have more questions. Well, nothing. Only thing you can do is try to answer those questions. You know, that's it. You try to answer their questions, and hopefully that's not a deal breaker on the answers that you give. Obviously, they want to do as much due diligence as possible before they spend their money. That's normal. So you want to just answer their question. If it's not to their satisfactory, the great thing about it, hopefully they're not the only buyer interested in your property. So you just have to take that case by case.
Okay. Now, just a little hindsight on me, if anyone's asking, have I ever flipped a house? Yes, I have. I learned from this man right here. And I just ended up getting employment elsewhere and I lost track. So one of the biggest issues that I had, Mark McNeely is asking that question on YouTube. He asked, how do you handle a situation where a seller is not content with your escrow amount of $10 and also hesitating to give you the key to the property so you can show it to buyers? And just like I said, when I very first started, and this was many moons ago, I would say, Tyrone, there's no way that I can tell this person I'm going to give them $10. And Ty would say, that's all it takes. And there were instances, you can correct me if I'm wrong, where I probably did have to offer just a little bit more just to get the deal going. But I guess just to answer Mark, what do you do?
Well, if someone doesn't want to accept $10, then I go the next amount I will offer is 50, and then I'll maybe go up to 100. That's it. And in some cases, I don't even start at 10. It just depends on who I'm dealing with. You just feel people out, man. I don't know. I don't even have an answer on who I do that with or who I don't. Most people get 10. Now, a lot of times, 100 may be on the contract, but they don't ever get it. You know, they get it, but they don't actually ever get it. They don't care, normally. But if it's an issue where they just are tripping about 10, 50, or 100, and they maybe want 500, 1,000. I think someone texted me today about 5,000. They're not motivated anyway. They're not motivated. In most cases, they do not care about that if they're motivated to sell it to you at a cheap enough price. But you still will have situations where they do care. All right. Now, I've given more than 100 before, and only a couple of times it's not worked out and didn't get my money back. So that's one reason, I rarely do it, but it's all about negotiations. And now I tell people, if I give them more than 100, then the attorney going to have to hold it, right? That I'm going to deal with. And sometimes I still don't dictate that, but I'll go to an attorney that I'd have dealt with and give them the 500 or whatever. But if you don't have it, and that's the deal breaker, then it's a deal breaker. No different if the price doesn't work. If the terms don't work, it's a deal breaker. If the price doesn't work, which is really terms, it's a deal breaker. So if you don't have the money to put up that they want, whether it's a great deal or not, it can be a deal breaker. Now, a lot of times you can bring someone else in that may have the money if you know it's a deal or whatever. You're confident that it's a great deal, then boom, roll with it. But that walk away. If you don't have the money they're looking for, that was a part of negotiation. You have to walk. It's just that simple. Now, as far as getting a key, you ask for it. You let them know that you have partners that you deal with, contracts you need bids. If they don't want to give you a key, then so be it. You have to work around it. You just have to meet every time that you go over to the house. I mean, you send a buyer over there, you have to meet over there with them. If the seller's going to have to let them in, or if someone lives there, or if the seller lives there, you're just going to have to meet them there. That's the importance of videoing the property whenever you go out and inspect the property, so that you can prevent a lot of time from being wasted, which still can be wasted even after you send people videos, but it reduces it. So if you send them a link, a YouTube link of the property inside and out in the neighborhood, and they still want to see it at the price that you're offering it at, there's a strong possibility you're going to have a deal. So you would just actually just meet there at the house each time, and just make sure that your buyer understands, hey, I'm wholesaling this property. Any price negotiations go through me. Any other questions about the property, history of the property, you can ask the seller, but you're going to follow them around. You're going to be right there through all conversations. So that's how you handle that. I've had a couple of blow up in my face, but normally it'll work out if you just make sure your presence is there. And that's part of the issue that people don't explain to you about the virtual wholesaling, is that you're not there to keep the seller and the buyer apart. Now, if you can get someone on the ground that you can trust, then yeah, you can handle that. But that's the part about the virtual wholesaling that they don't tell you about. That can be a deal breaker a lot, because you've allowed the seller and the buyer to communicate without you being there to mediate. So boom. So what else we got, baby?
Okay. This is a two-part question. We're going to answer two guest questions at the same time. It's going to be Ms. Ware and Mr. Marcus 3C. Ms. Ware asks, do buyers usually have their own title company, like the We Buy Houses? And typically you don't, but you already have somebody that you deal with, so I can kind of answer that one. But taking her question and tying it into Mr. Marcus, which says, when should you do the title? When should you have this title search done for the property? And do you let your buyer do it, or do you hire an attorney or a title company for the process? So ultimately, should you already have a title company in pocket, in mind? Well, probably a few. And then when do you pull this title?
Well, especially starting out, because titles can cost anywhere from $300 and up. And so you would really want to wait till you have a buyer in place, and you want them to take on that expense, and they're going to normally choose who they want to deal with. Now, sometimes they'll say, I don't care, or whatever, and you can roll with someone if you've already done it before or whatever. But starting out, you're dealing with, in most cases, dealing with seasoned buyers, and they already have those relationships built with title company, closing attorney, depending on the state and how that process works. But as far as when you should do it, just when you have a buyer in place, because in most cases, they're going to pay for it anyway. They pay all closing costs. And that is negotiable, but normally they'll pay for it because they're getting a great deal normally. So the question was, I just answered it for the Facebook people. The question is when do you pull a title? And what was the other part of it? Oh, and does the buyer already have their own people they want to use? So yeah. So anyway, so that's for the Facebook people that can't see my friend Adrian. If you want to see the full version with Adrian, Facebook people, if you see this now or in the future, just simply go to YouTube and do a search for Flippinar, May 25th, 2017. Yeah, and you can see my friend narrate and produce this production. So let's roll.
Okay, so I know we all have emojis on our screen. Let's go ahead and put up your hand clap emoji for Mr. Carlos Rodriguez on Facebook, who just put his first wholesale deal under contract. Way to go, man. Yay!
Oh, yeah, that's what's happening. So Carlos on Facebook just put his first wholesale deal under contract. That's what's happening, man. Report back. Hopefully you can find a buyer for it and close that baby. Get paid and pick up that check. Let's get it.
Okay, also on Facebook, Mr. Matt Sutter asks, when starting out, do you use systems like Patio to track everything, or just simple pen and paper and just focus on getting deals opposed to getting all caught up in systems?
I'm techie, but I'm unorganized. So the question was, do I use, I guess, any type of CRM, or how do I track my leads, or do I use pen and paper, or do I use some form of technology? I love my iPhone, so I keep a lot of stuff in it. Most of the time I'm going to make a note. I'll make a note of a seller's call, but what I've been doing here for the last few weeks, and that really came from you all, is that, which I have two phones, one personal one and one for a business. And I'll just record the conversation. So I can title it however I want in my voice memos on my iPhone. And I can go back and not only can I get the information that I need, but I can listen to the tone of the conversation, which if you're making notes, you can't really get that. So I can get the tone of the conversation and it have jogged my memory on what they had going on. So that's how I keep track of my information, is through either my notes on my phone or my voice memos on my actual phone. And I always have my phone with me, when it's in reach in most cases. So.
All right. On YouTube, we have a question, and it's dealing with bird dogs. I used to be a bird dog. Dealing with bird dogs that are familiar with real estate, do you recommend paying a percentage of profits per deal to them, or reoccurring lump sum? And if it's a percentage per deal, what's a good percentage?
I like flat fees. Someone asked, what should you pay bird dogs? What percentage should you pay? How should you pay bird dogs? Percentage or, I'm answering. I pay as a flat fee. 500, 1,000. I'll pay more, but normally I'm gonna tell them, 500 to 1,000. Most people, that's cool within my mark. Some other marks that may not be good, and I'll pay more, but I just can't guarantee them an amount. So normally anywhere from $500 to $1,000. So. That's why you should be a wholesaler. They should take the next step.
Just take the next step and do it on your own versus putting money in somebody else's pocket. Cut out the middleman. Next question, again, is from Manny on YouTube. How many bandit signs do you suggest putting out weekly?
All right. Question from YouTube is, how many bandit signs do I suggest putting out weekly? As many as you can, but realistically, 50 is a good number. So that's about 200 a month. I'm ramping it up myself. I got a little helper that I drive around. And so we're going to probably be putting out 100 or so a week. I'm running out of places to put them or whatever, but at least 50 a week if you can. So that's 200 a month, 200 every 4 weeks.
Okay. Joju Powerful from YouTube asks, when wholesaling commercial properties for NNN tenants, is it possible for you to get the property under contract while postponing the EMD until closing?
All right, read that again.
Okay. When wholesaling commercial properties for NNN tenants, is it possible for you to get the property under contract while postponing the EMD until closing?
Well, he's talking about triple net properties. Yeah. Well, it's going to be difficult to get someone to hold off on the EMD to closing because it's closing. They're going to get the money anyway. So it'll be difficult to do it that way. Everything negotiable. You never know. You may have a seller that's motivated. But and you can make that in your offer, but that's pushing it. There are some other ways, but that's pushing it. You're basically saying you're not going to put up an EMD. That's what you're basically saying. No time before closing. So if you think you can get away with that, then roll with it. But you're basically telling them, I'm not putting up an EMD, because if they're going to wait to closing, they're getting the money anyway. So it really doesn't matter. So.
Okay. Anthony McMillan, come on, Facebook. They're lacking in the questions here, but Anthony McMillan on YouTube asks, if you don't have a clean title, who is responsible for outstanding taxes, the buyer or the seller?
All right. Question was, if you don't have a clean title, who's responsible for the outstanding taxes, the buyer or the seller? Well, outstanding taxes really doesn't, I don't put that in the category of the title not being clean. It's just taxes that have been paid. And so whose responsibility is it? Again, everything's negotiable, but normally that falls on the seller. But I've paid taxes on a property before to make the deal work, or portions of it to make the deal work, but that normally falls on the seller. Again, I don't consider that as not being a clean title because of some back taxes, because that's going to be handled at closing anyway as expected. That could be a deal breaker because the taxes may be more than what makes sense for the deal. But again, I don't put that in the category of the title not being clear.
Okay. Question from Monique Groves on YouTube. Do you ever pay for home inspections in wholesaling to negotiate a lower price with the seller?
All right, question was, do I ever pay for home inspection as a negotiation tool with the seller to get a lower price? No, no, because paying for that inspection, which $250, $300, whatever it may cost or more, that doesn't guarantee you're going to get a lower price. You're taking a huge risk by doing that. Now, hey, it may work, but no, that's nothing I would do. Just think about that now. Well, no, that's just nothing I would do. An inspection, because the seller, they see the property. You can point out stuff that's wrong with it or whatever. Now you got some foundation issues that are not really that visible or whatever, but that's taking a huge risk just to pay for an inspection to see if you can negotiate down more, because people want what they want. They just do. So maybe you give a trial run and report back to us and let us know how it works out, but it's nothing I would do.
Okay. We touched on this a little bit earlier already. We've had someone ask how many bandit signs do you put out? What size should the bandit size be? It can be argued that in some areas bandit signs aren't allowed and how quickly they're taken down, but Matt said knows in his area that they're highly illegal. So he wants to know, what other marketing tools do you recommend? And he said he just had his first deal under contract for $3 million. Oh my. But he couldn't find a buyer. So it's going to expire soon, and he needs to get more leads so he doesn't miss out on this deal.
All right, so he wants to know what other methods to market besides bandit signs.
Correct.
Okay, obviously direct mail. People use postcards, yellow letters, and they target absentee owners. If you don't know what absentee is, Google is your friend, but I'm going to give you the definition. Absentee is basically an additional piece of real estate, normally residential, that someone owns that's not considered their homestead. In most cases, you can only have one homestead from my understanding. So any additional properties that you own, we're talking about houses here, will be considered absentee. And the reason that you target absentee owners is because you're hoping for a level of motivation. House may need too many repairs, tired of being a landlord, maybe an inherited property, maybe an additional property that they're making a second mortgage payment on, so and on and on. So you target those through direct mail. Where you can get those direct mail lists from are a site called listsource.com and Melissa Data. Those are going to be the two more well-known sites that you can collect that data from, and those lists, and you mail it out to them. As I said, postcard, yellow letters. I teach my students how to do it a little differently, but boom, that's the other way. Obviously, you can do the internet, social media, Facebook, Google AdWords with a website, and so on. So that can be a little pricey in comparison, but those are going to be the other two main ways that you can find deals. And you can always look for deals online or offline. That's a very difficult way to find deals, but very possible. And you can make a living from it if you're very persistent in doing so. I don't personally have the thick skin enough to do it, because once someone tells me no, if they hadn't called me, I'm ready to go home and get in the fetal position. So
don't cry about it.
Hey, I'll be ready to cry.
Okay, so now would be a good opportunity to direct any of our viewers or guests to your channels, your videos and how they
yeah.
because Antoine Jones here wanted to know, did you have a video that could help him? He has a friend that's an investor that sends him properties and told him that he could send his properties to his buyers and just add on a fee. So he wondered if you had a video that covered that.
Okay, someone wants to know how to handle referrals, basically.
Ultimately, and how to tack on their fee into that.
Well, that's basically being a bird dog. Am I understanding that correctly? Would you say that, Adrian?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, you're basically asking how to be a bird dog, and that's finding great deals. My definition of a bird dog is someone that finds a deal, negotiates the deal, but they don't put it on the contract. They just refer it for a fee, I guess, assuming after closing. So again, as you mentioned, Adrian, I have a video on bird dogging. I think it's over 200 right here. If you're on this particular video, either you're a YouTube subscriber or someone sent it to you. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and turn on the notifications so you are alerted whenever I do go live and whenever I upload new videos. And of course, flipman.net, as you see right here in the background. But to answer your question, that's basically saying that you're going to be a bird dog. Everybody got their place. You're only one step from being a wholesaler by controlling the deal, putting it on the contract. Learn how to do that. My channel will teach you how to do that for free. I'm not free, but the channel, the information that I put on the channel is free. So that's what I would encourage you to do. But if that's not what you want to do, then you're basically a bird dog. So they will pay you whatever you all agree upon.
Okay, putting another spin on it, Ty. So a bird dog will go out, find the deal, which means you're going to handle the wholesale part of it. But I think maybe another spin on his question is, what if an investor wants to use my buyer? I have a line of buyers that I use, and they want me to take their deal and just only charge them a minimal fee to, I guess, introduce their deal to one of my buyers. Then how do I charge them for that, I guess?
Well, it's still the same thing. Now, you're either going to be in a wholesale position or you're still going to be in a bird dog position or whatever. If it were me and I'm turning one of my buyers over to a deal that someone has, in most cases, I want 50% of the deal. Because if you find a buyer for me, I'm willing to give up 50%. So I'm not going to tell you to do something that I'm not interested in doing myself. Now, some people don't want to roll like that. That's fine. I'm good. We move on, next. Plenty of deals out there. So hopefully I'm answering the question.
I think you covered it. I think it's covered. You want to use my resources, pay me for my resources, ultimately. Sam Duong asks, is it wise to wholesale a quick claim property?
No, I don't think, well, I know so, not at all. You're not going to be able to get clear title with a quick claim deed. Title companies are not, for the most part, I guess you can always find somebody to do something, but for the most part, title companies are not going to honor that. They need warranty deeds in most states. So no, I wouldn't fool with that at all. Title insurance, it's rare that a seasoned buyer or an unseasoned buyer is going to buy a property without title insurance. And the title company is not going to offer that if the property was conveyed by a quick claim deed previously to whoever is trying to sell it to whoever. So no.
Okay. Carlos on Facebook is asking, is it cheaper to mail postcards or letters? And also, do you recommend doing it yourself or outsourcing it and having it mailed out and printed by ultimately someone else?
Okay, the question was, is it cheaper to do postcards or yellow letters, and do I recommend outsourcing it? So as long as you're doing something, let me just say that first of all, something is better than nothing. But if I'm going to choose the method on how I'm going to do it, now again, I teach my students how to do it differently. But from what the masses know on how to do it, yellow letters are normally going to be more effective just because the whole thing with direct mail is getting your message read. And in most cases, most people teach you how to do your yellow letters, and it's just called yellow letter. It's not the letter really doesn't have to be yellow. It's just a term to describe that form of marketing. But you're going to make it appear, or either may be actual. You're going to make it appear that the letter, that the envelope, that whatever envelope or mailer you send it in is handwritten. And then when they open it, it appears handwritten. Now, that may be copies, and you finagle it to make it look that way. But the whole idea of any direct mail campaign, whether it's real estate or you're selling cars or insurance, whatever, the most difficult thing is to get your message read. So whenever you send a piece of mail and it appears to be personalized, then that increases your chances of your message being read. Now, some people say that people sort their mail over the trash can, right? And so you want to make sure that yours is not dumped in the trash can or whatever. So, but then some people say, well, postcard, they don't have to open it. It's already open. Yeah, it is already open. But when you're over the trash can, you boom, okay, that's what they want, bam. So both work. I'm just going to say yellow letters are going to be more effective because your open rate is going to be higher.
All right. Let's get here. Rico Tolliver, this is on YouTube, asked, for a first timer, is there a price range that you should try to stick with for your first house?
No, it doesn't matter.
That's the limit, right? Go big, go home.
Yeah, man, shoot. Hey, if you could find a house that's worth $1 million and you can get it for 600, make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Call me when you do, Rico.
Yeah, that check is, whoo, make it happen. So it's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. It could be 10 million and you can get it for 6 million. Make it happen. We're talking some ridiculous numbers. But it doesn't matter. You can wholesale the Empire State Building. It's probably worth $1 billion right now. If you can get it for $500 million, hey, you're going to have some takers. You know what I'm saying? That's real estate. That's the wholesale businesses is finding the great deal, but it's not easy, whether it's houses or commercial or whatever. So that's the thing. That's why I say spend more time finding the deal. Buyers are easy to get. It's not difficult to give away money.
Okay. Papa Duck says, do you get approved first for a hard money lender before you find a house to buy, or do you find a house first, then try and get a hard money lender?
Well, if you're talking about wholesaling, you don't need a hard money lender.
Right.
Okay, you're trying to flip the property, meaning you're going to buy fix and then retail to a family, someone that's going to need a loan to buy it because they want to live there. Then yeah, either you're going to have the resources or you're going to have to use somebody else's money, namely a hard money lender. But as far as a wholesale deal, hard money is not needed.
Okay. On Facebook, Dwayne said with your chest, Burgess asked, on your first deal, what are some of the pitfalls you should look to avoid?
Well, Dwayne wants to know what are some of the things you should look for on your first deal. Make sure I'm repeating these questions, because I'm forgetting that people on Facebook may not be able to check us out on this. So again, on Facebook, you can see the replay on this later, probably 30 minutes after we're done. And you can see my producer, Adrian, she's asking the questions. We have the split screen. I forgot that I didn't instruct her that you're gonna have to have basically 2 setups in order to pull that off. So, and then on Instagram, you're not gonna see it regardless. So I'm gonna try to repeat the question. So what was that question again?
Okay, so Dwayne wants to know, on your first deal, what are some of the pitfalls that you should look to avoid?
Okay, yeah, Dwayne, I have an actual video, man. It's been one of my better videos of recent. It's called 5 Mistakes Newbies Should Avoid Wholesaling Houses. If you do a search on YouTube that says 5 Mistakes Newbies Should Avoid Wholesaling Houses, you'll see that video, and I go into detail on all of those. I don't want to really go into it here. Number one, I don't remember, but I think I did a good job on that. So just do a search on that. And I don't want to put you off, but it could be more than that 5 to that. But I thought those were the most commonly asked questions that I get, so from my experience. So just do a search for that, man.
Okay. LeVar Harrison wanted to know, should the number, I guess, that they use on bandit signs for purposes of being contacted, should it be a local number?
Well, the question was, should you have a local number on your bandit signs? I'm going to always say local first. I've used a vanity number recently. It has paid a handsome payday from it, but and I still use a local number, and the local number outdoes the toll-free number, man, probably 5 to 1, easily that, so people just want to go with what they're familiar with or whatever. They would like to just think that they're dealing with someone that's just local and they can just do a handshake, well, not a handshake deal, but in that sense that they can deal with someone locally. In my experience. Now, again, both will work, but just from my experience, and I put a lot of money into the vanity number that I use, 800 number, and the local number just dwarfs it, so to answer your question.
Okay. This is a YouTube question from Ruben Dobson. He wants to know, he says he has a deal in progress, but the seller is in probate court. How long is probate court? How long should he expect that to last?
Wow. So someone asked the question, how long does the probate process last? That's going to vary from state to state, what stage of the process that they're in, how complicated that situation is. So it can last a few weeks. It can last a few months. It can go into a year or so. So there's no way to answer that, my friend.
Okay. Carlos, who we mentioned earlier, we got his first deal on the contract, wants to know, do you think paying for Facebook ads is worth the money to get people to visit my We Buy Houses page and having them potentially visit my website?
To answer is, okay, he wants to know if Facebook ads worth it to pay for. I'm gonna have to say yes and no, because I haven't figured it out. I've been trying, and I've actually got, maybe I don't have the patience for the leads that I've been getting and the money I was spending. I haven't figured it out to the way that I like, but hey, maybe you can figure it out. Whatever his name was, maybe you can actually figure it out where it is worth it. I'm going to say it's worth it, but you just got to figure out the amount of money that you spend and the results that, because that's the only thing that matters is what results that it produces from it. But Facebook is a beast, in itself, because there's a lot of attention there, and that's where you want to have your message. That's why some of you all are watching me right here, and why some of you even know I existed, because of Facebook and the ads that I run on Facebook. Oh man, wow. And it can be a little tricky now. Facebook, they will delete your ad, and you're not approved. I'm going through that situation right now with, I don't know what what is going on, but I was, doing okay with it or whatever. And it's hard to get anything approved now. So their ad policy is tricky, man. So, but don't sleep on it. You definitely want to try to figure it out. It's worth keep trying to figure it out, because, that's the new internet, Facebook, everybody's there, over 1 billion users. So there you go.
Okay. Anthony McMillan asks, how do you factor the ARV, after repair value, into your deal so as a wholesaler would make the maximum profit?
All right, he wants to know how to use ARV that factor into your deal to make sure you make the maximum profit. Well, all deals start with how much was the house appraised for in excellent condition. If you don't know that, when the seller gives you a price, you don't know if you have a deal or not. I'm not even sure how I did my first deal, because I didn't know anything. I didn't get that part out of training. I forgot it, but I just thought $20,000 was a good deal.
That sounds good.
I just thought it was. I didn't know that I needed to look in the future and say, hey, what can this house sell for or whatever. But since you all know this now, but it all starts there, man, on if a house, the ARV is 100 and you can get it for 80, that's not a deal. 70 is not a deal. 60, still probably not a deal. 50, you're getting close. But again, now sometimes it depends on the market. I'm just telling you what would work here. 50, I'm getting close. In the 40s, I probably got something, but it still factors in what repairs are needed. You know, all of that factors into whether you have a deal or not. That's the beast within the beast. Is figuring out what is a deal in your market in this particular area of your market.
Okay.
Some of it's just trial and error.
Well, talking about markets, Quay wants to know, when choosing a target market, is it best to sort by zip codes for houses that recently sold in a certain zip code and put up bandit signs close to that area? Or how do you pick which area you're gonna zone into?
All right, he wants to know what area should you start out marketing as far as bandit signs, by zip code or by the prices of houses. Well, now if you're going to use bandit signs, you know, because they will come down so fast, depending on where you're putting them, you're placing them. But you really can't do that with bandit signs. Direct mail would be the option that you want to somewhat choose a zip code based on this or that. But with bandit signs, you really just have to go where you can get away with them. It's really that simple. And the easy thing to do is to see where they already exist in your market, and you just basically copycat. Now, everybody wants to be in the area by themselves. They got their own bandit signs up by themselves. But a lot of times, you know, bandit signs are nothing new. I know I repeat all this stuff, but the answer is the answer. But bandit signs are nothing new, and the guys in your market have already tested those areas. Nothing prevents you from putting 5 or 10 signs out and see how long they stay up. But a lot of times you don't see signs because they're not going to stay up, and they got guys that use them and have been using them for years are not just going to waste their time and money on putting the signs up and they come down the next day or the same day. So.
Okay. Ty, Gustavo wants to know, as an entrepreneur, you always are learning. He says, does Ty have anybody he consider as a mentor at this moment in his career?
The question was, as an entrepreneur, do I have anyone that mentors me? I'm the type of person that I don't know if Adrian would agree with this, but I'm an introvert, you know, so I'm not going to network with people, and I'm not going to reach out to people. Because of the internet, a lot of times I can just watch stuff or whatever and pick up stuff, and that's all I need. I don't ever have to talk to the person, right? And I know a lot of people are not like that or whatever. That's fine. That's all I need is just, that's why, like with motivational speaking, I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? I don't need my mind to be, you know, you need to think positive. I don't need that. Tell me how to make the money. That's all I need. I'm already motivated. I'm already thinking positive. Tell me how to make this bread. I don't need the BS. That was part of the seminar I went to. Now the guy had me jacked up, you know, whatever, and he actually had me jacked up, and I can see why people started whipping out that money. Now, of course, I say, of course, and stuff too. But I ain't no motivated speaker. I try to tell you what you want to know or whatever. So, and I ain't hating on people that do it. I'm just telling you, it didn't get me going. So to answer your question, I know I done went off a diatribe here, but to answer your question about a mentor, I really don't have one. I just find content that makes sense to me. And okay, we about to go off of Instagram. I didn't know you had a time limit. I guess they only give you an hour. So anyway. So I don't have one. That's just not how I function, you know. Now I'm always open to listen to people. Don't get me wrong. Now again, I'll listen to it. There's some people out there that I think that are powerful or whatever, but I'm not the one to reach out and have a conversation with them. You know what I'm saying? I can get enough that I can do additional research. A lot of times I just need the idea, and I can do my own additional research to figure out the rest. That's just me, you know. So what we got?
Well, Frank Curtis on Facebook says that's awesome to have an introvert guru. He said he just kind of wants to go out and make this money and go out in society as little as possible. So you got somebody else like
yeah, if I go, yeah, I'm strange like that. I know I'm a weirdo like that. So I'm weird. You know, I'll go in Walmart or something. I think I said this before. I see somebody I know I want to talk to them. They did nothing to me. I just may not want to fool with them that day because I know they may be long-winded. You know, we all, you know, people like that. You know what I'm saying? They don't know when you say, well, I got to go. I got this time. And they still talking. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so if I see one of them and I know we're not going to, I just push my, like, I just walk back out. I'm weird like that. So anyway, I think, hey, it's 7 o'clock, man. You know what I'm saying? We're an hour in. I think we got a lot done tonight.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Linda doesn't have a question for me. She has me a question.
Okay, go ahead.
She says, Adria, how did you get your first deal? Bandit signs, direct mail, and if you don't mind, how much was it? Thank you, honey. I learned from Ty. Ty is my mentor in all things business. My first deal was a deal on the east side of Birmingham, under contract for $5,000. I was wanting to flip it for 15. I did find a buyer who agreed to 12.5, which was a $7,500 profit that I had to split with that guy. But that was my first deal. And so if I was able to dig through these files, I can show you that first check because he told me always keep a copy of it. So yeah, I have a copy of that check, that contract, everything. So my first deal was half of $7,500.
That is $750. All right, so you got that off your chest.
I got off my chest. Okay, I'm good now. I'm all right.
Hey, so we good? I know we probably got a lot of questions left, but you know what I'm saying, we'll keep this to an hour, but I think we got a lot done tonight. Hopefully, guys, I hope you enjoyed Adria. Hopefully she'll come back next week and help me out. We'll maybe try to get it live on Facebook. Facebook people, you want to see Adria live and her asking the questions may be a little bit more informative doing it that way. You can just go to YouTube in an hour or so and you can see, just do it. Well, you just go to my channel and it'll be the most recent video. So again, I really appreciate Adria. Do you want to say anything before we sign off tonight?
No, I've enjoyed you all. Y'all have brought back the hustle mentality in me. I got to go read up. I got to go put my bandit signs out. So I'll see y'all next time.
All right. So signing off and we'll see you all on the flip side.